Okay. Now, hopefully this is working properly. Um, Obviously, it's not showing the Pega screen right at this moment in time. Maybe because it's not visible. Nope. Okay. Okay, that's not really working very well. There we go. Alright. Welcome back to another 2 p.m. PST Twitch stream. I'm your host, Strange Bro Jim, and today we're going to be doing the mission test, the low code app builder at the very end there. Now, um, this will kind of give me an idea as to, well, how much I retained the information that was presented. This is going to be similar, not exactly the same, obviously, to how their certification is, um, in the sense that, um, there's no feedback. You're not going to be getting any kind of like, um, um, you're not necessarily going to be, able to check your answers like right then and there. So, which I mean is expected for certification. Um, and you have to do really well. I mean, as you can see, passing score of 80% out of 25 questions. So, um, which is kind of interesting with the amount of questions that you have. Um, that's not an easily roundable number for 80%, but, whatever. um, basically you have to get, what, about 21 questions right or more? So you can't necessarily miss about, if you miss about 4 questions, then you're basically going to fail the test. So um, I suspect that I'm probably going to fail, at least the first time through, because there were definitely questions out there that I struggled with, and I struggled with the data model section as well. So if they're going to have um, if they have anything related to that, or if they have like a lot of questions related to that, then I'm probably going to be in trouble. Um, Now, normally on the certification, they tell you the breakdown of, what percentages you got overall, and, what areas you kind of needed to work on a little bit more. Like, hey, you only got 60% in this one particular area for case management, for example. So you're going to have to study more on the case management to pass the certification. If you fail, of course. Um, at least if you want to retake the certification, right? Um, Obviously, if you pass it, then that's great. But it still tells you like, hey, sure you passed, but you might want to work on these sections a little bit more. Learn the concepts and um, all that jazz. So, um, okay. Uh, Now, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you might want to skip this part here because I'm going to kind of repeat myself from previous videos. But I just want to let everybody know that, I am working towards getting my system architect certification, and maybe even taking the business architect certification as well. You know, try to see if I can take both of them. Get myself certified, and um, obviously have those available for my job hunt. Right now, jobs that want Pega obviously want the system architect certification, and well, I don't have that, so I gotta fix that. Um, in some ways, I kind of wish that one I should have done more when I was actually on the job. Try to study, more, try to get the certification, but at the same time, they didn't necessarily encourage or, well, I mean, they wanted me to try to get the certification, but that's it. That's kind of all they did, kind of thing. They didn't necessarily say, okay, here, um, we're gonna give you, um, this particular Pega, developer here, so that you and him can kind of work through the Pega Academy, and if you have some troubles, you can ask him for help, or yeah, him or her, whatever. Um, but that didn't happen. So I mean, it in the end, it still fell on me, and I didn't do it. So that's my that's where my failure was on that. Um, Still would have loved some kind of mentorship program, but it is what it is, right? Uh, any people out there that are um, in the development, you know, software development or something along those lines, if you have a new software engineer, software developer, you know, anyone that has come into the company brand new, mentor them. You know, one, you get to learn what they learned, which I mean, there's definitely different new code languages out there, new techniques, so on and so forth. So, I mean, and if they're coming from college, then there's more things that you might potentially learn. Um, there might be some more theoretical that you can learn from them. Okay, so that's a positive for you. Um, but they also benefit from learning from you being on the job, knowing, you know, what to do, when to do, certain techniques, certain languages, work with them, you know, be that mentor for, your new hires, because, um, you kind of build that team, team effort in that, and um, you know, if you're out sick for some reason, like you're you can't do what you need to do, then they're there to kind of try to help take up the slack. Now, I'm not I'm not saying, train them to replace you, okay? Um, but train them so that they can still handle the workload if you're not there, okay? Um, and you can both grow together to the point where, you know, um, you establish a really good, solid foundation of the team. So, okay, sorry, that was a really big tangent there. Let's see. So yeah, I'm working on my certification. This is not endorsed by Pega. Pega doesn't know that I'm doing these kind of streams, or they're not saying, "Yeah, Jim, go right ahead." We don't have any issues with that. No, they have no idea. Okay. Um, the most that they get from me is when I, send those suggestions to them, and maybe they'll respond, or maybe they'll look into my videos. I don't know, but I kind of doubt it. Um, Uh, Second thing that next thing what I want to talk about is that I am not an instructor. Okay, don't consider me an instructor. Um, I'm just trying to learn, or I'm trying to build myself back up for the certification again. Okay. I did go through instructor-led training through the company that I was with, and well, me and my gen mates were kind of going, not great. Um, but if you do it through Pega, then one would hope that they take your feedback seriously. You know, like if you're struggling with one of their authorized training partners, then maybe Pega will listen to you and say, okay, let's see what's going on with this instructor, right? Um, but uh, but one would hope, you know, you get a decent instructor for the instructor-led training, and I do recommend you take that over what you're watching now, if you can. Okay. Um, you know, I know, you know, uh, the price of instructor-led training, might not be um, within uh, your means. Okay. Um, so I get that. Let's see. Uh, yeah. So um, their current course offerings apparently are senior and lead system architect, and the price is $1,050 for that one and 1,500 for that one. I'm not seeing anything for um, hmm. I'm not quite sure why they don't offer just a system architect program. Hmm. Hold on a second. I'm kind of curious as to what's going on here. Um, oh, here we go. Okay. So just to kind of show you, you know, it's a bit. Um, and I know a lot of people might not be able to handle that. You know, hell, right now I'm not able to handle that. Or, you know, that would take a lot out of my savings right at this moment in time, and I need those savings. So that is outside of my price range right now. Um, so I mean, don't get me wrong. Okay, with a certification, you can, potentially get a job out there that will pay you back for this amount, but you better hope that they give you all the money or all the bang for your buck on this one because um, this is something that um, this is quite a bit. So okay, um, all right, enough chit chatting. Um, so um, so just wanted to put that out there. So okay, not an authorized trainer, not endorsed by Pega. So all right, let's get into the low code at builder mission test. Mission test measures your competency and skills. Successful completion of the mission test is required to receive the mission badge. Each question lets you check once if your choices are correct or incorrect. Okay. That is not going to be on the certification, so don't expect it. Okay. Overall feedback is provided at the end of the test. Each question is worth 1 whole point. You can retry the entire mission test. Passing score in the mission test is 80%. So let's go. Okay. Uh, Now, I'm not going to say much here because this is going to take. I mean, we had 10 questions here, or even more, and I want to. Actually, we had 25 questions, so I want to read through it because it's faster that way. So apologies for anybody that wants me to, say it out loud. I'm kind of I do like the fact that the feedback is there, but if my selection wasn't correct to start off with, then that's a failure on the certification. So bear that in mind. Uh, okay, not the resolve. And I mean, you don't necessarily want to use the actions menu, so I mean that canceled out both of those. So it had to be those two. So action menu isn't configuring the stage, and resolving is resolving the entire case type. You're not advancing to another stage. So both of those basically cancels out that question. So That one. I believe that one was the answer previously, but I'm not 100% sure. Let me go through the rest here. No. Um, no. Oh gosh. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, this one was the one being not part of an application, I think. I think that was one of the requirements of the data records, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Uh, all right. Reroute the assignment to the user. Yeah, I already mentioned the fact that it should be routed to the manager, in my particular opinion, to route it to, to determine, you know, should you send it on to the auditor or send it off to someone else, but, you know, they want it assigned to the user there, so uh, I got to be careful here because I'm kind of skipping over anything. So if they've changed a little bit there, then I'm potentially shooting myself in the foot. Okay. If they change one of the words around or something along those lines, I got to be careful with that. I don't want to, I want to, you should read the question carefully. So, that would have been a fail. So, one question down. That one. Yep. It's the data users supply. That's the embedded data. So, defines a field to access data stored in the data page. So, moving on. When configuring a view, I mean, this is correct. So, but we're gonna ignore that one because apparently they don't they say that that's incorrect. So, um, I believe it was those two. Yeah, you got to be careful with this one. Because if your hours are off by a little bit, then you're, you're potentially causing yourself a problem. So really wish they had the timer here. Describes following behavior. 8 hours, increase urgency by 10. Deadline 24 hours, increase urgency by 20. So initial case urgency is 10, so it uh, increases to 20 after 8. After 24, it increases it to 40. So 26 hours. So after the case reaches assignment, so it has to be 40. Okay. The approve reject step, right. Um, yeah, it's not that one. Right, it's those two. Okay. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. That's incorrect. Well, I said so far all three of them have been, in my mind, incorrect. Wait a minute, hold on. Um, that looks correct there, but yeah, this one doesn't. Um, this one doesn't look true at all. Um, multiple record data can't, should be able to store data, so that seems wrong. Um, a data object can use both single and multiple, so this is wrong. So, yeah. Okay. So, the data object of available flights with the flight number, the airport codes, and the price. I'm not going to even check the feedback, I already know. um, Microjourney is a small part of the overall customer journey. A microjourney focuses on accomplishing multiple goals. I think this is false. So while a microjourney is if I remember correctly, a small part of the overall customer journey. It's meant to kind of be blocks of the overall customer's journey. Um, it shouldn't necessarily focus on accomplishing multiple goals. So that's why I'm feeling like this is false. And they say that is correct. Okay. So while one part of the statement was true, potentially, the second part wasn't, and that nullifies the entire statement. So, when field service agents file an assessment, they should select one of the 10 existing user IDs from Google. Hmm. It's is it pick list or user reference? I think it's pick list. Nope. Okay. Damn it. That's the second question that I missed. Which two components do you need to model data? No. Yes. And no, you don't need external databases, so it has to be these two. When modeling when modeling the life cycle of a case, stages represent a um, has to, has to be two of these. So um, doesn't always have to use a subset of data, so that's why I'm figuring that that's not correct. We had transfer of authority. I believe that was one of the correct answers for that in the past. So, um, and I believe it's also a significant change in status of the case because they said that time period doesn't really matter in the life cycle when in fact it kind of does. So, I don't know. But I believe it's those two. Yeah. When modeling the life cycle of a case, alternate stages um, represent a separate but related business transaction. Represents exceptions to the normal course of events. I believe it's these two. Even though, I mean, a business transaction is what's kind of concerning about this. Um, a separate business transaction. That's why I'm kind of saying probably not. Um, yeah. Right. I was having a little bit of difficulty with this one. Data page was there. That was it. So, yeah. Data record contains the values, not the not the definite, not the variables themselves. So I got to remember that. Approvals. Users don't have to be logged in to provide approval, just by like the mobile notification, right? Um, and you can configure a stage change to occur when the user provides approval. So that also can occur. Um, you know, while approval steps could be configured to a specific user, I don't think you need to. So that's why I'm not necessarily selecting that one. So I believe it's these two. Yeah. Okay. Define how work is completed for each specific user and customer request. I don't like the wording there for like specific, but whatever. Yeah, I believe it's these two. Define a structure to create, process, and resolve work. So far I've missed two questions, and we're getting close to the 25. So, um, as long as I pass these last two questions, then I most likely will be, well, I mean, right now, based off my answers, I should have that 80%, without any issues. But, you know, no, no, yep, those three. You can't edit or delete something that is system based. So remember that. That one works. Nope, nope, nope. So that's the correct one. Now, I missed two, technically. So that should definitely be a passing mark for like the certification. Yay! Congratulations, Jim. You've completed the low code at Builder and earned a new badge. So, uh, okay. Rate the mission though. Okay. So, I had some problems with the mission overall. I think I submitted what about I, what about 4 times or so, at least over this lifetime. So, um, had some issues with the mission that I gave feedback for already. Um, of it has been addressed. Others I need to respond to their replies. It wasn't bad, but I felt that there was room for improvement. Um, some modules, such as the data model, caused some amount of confusion. Felt like key words were stating the same thing or had conflicting paragraphs later in the module. Um, Recording my experience and putting it on YouTube. If anyone is interested in seeing it, would love to get some comment clarifications if possible. But I understand can't. Um, would recommend that you change up the mission final test questions a little from the module questions. having them be the same isn't helpful. All right. Did it submit or no? Okay. It's like, okay, if the form is already submitted, then close out. Okay, so I got the 100%. So awesome on that. Okay. So we are done with the low code app builder. So next we have the low code app builder extended. Now, this is part of both the system architect and the um, business architect. So let me show that to you. So system architect and business architect. The business architect has both of those missions as well. As you can see, the low code app builder and the low code app builder extended for the business architect. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing both of these missions, completing them, and then we can do these last two modules here for the business architect. Do the business architect mission test here at the very end, and we will get our little badge that we can get. Okay, but um, you know, bear in mind that, while sure, I might be able to get the badge here at the very end, um, you know, um, I'm still going to continue through the system architect because there's a lot more modules and challenges that we're going to be going through, um, as we proceed along. As you can see, there's a lot more after this. Okay. Um, and this is meant to get you to the point of, um, you know, passing the mission test at the very end. Knowing how to handle the Dev Studio um, portion of Pega. Okay, and hopefully prepare you enough for the certification. Now, um, from what I understand, okay, um, um, or from my experience, okay. While this is good, it's it's trying to build what you have. Like I said, the overall mission could be better overall. That's why I was like saying, yeah, it's a 7, could be done better. Um, because like I mentioned before, I would love to have the challenges kind of allow for you to actually build off of what was done in like the previous challenges. Okay. Now I'm not saying, or let's like maybe this way. Okay. Have two portions of the challenge, right? Where you can actually start like two different instances. If you wanted to. One basically says, hey, you have to learn, you have to use everything that you learned in the past to build, everything from scratch, you know, the case type, the stages, the processes, the steps, so on and so forth, to kind of, you know, um, reaffirm what you've learned in the past. Okay, and obviously provide, the steps prior to that. I know that's a lot of work for those of you that are, do work at Pega. If you do watch this, um, to kind of create the steps for that, and um, get that um, get that working, get that set up for those of us that are trying to take the Pega Academy. Um, and then you can have the challenges the way they are right now, which just goes over the steps for that particular challenge, and that's it. Okay. Because some people might be perfectly fine with just handling that portion of Pega. But as you saw in when I was doing the low code ad builder, you know, um, when I was working on the exercise, down here at the bottom, the low code ad builder exercise, I was kind of struggling a little bit during parts of it because I couldn't necessarily remember everything that we covered in the challenges, and now, while sure, you know, uh, in the end, you're going to need to learn how to do the sending of the emails. But, if you have, um, if you have this challenge here that can basically allow for you to, you know, set up everything, all the previous challenges in the past, yeah, you're extending the challenge out more, but you're allowing for the people, anyone to take the challenge to be able to um, to kind of redo that work and learn the process a little bit more. Um, you know, uh, now I'll admit, you know, um, that's you know um, that's not necessarily the job of Pega to do that for you. Okay. Um, you know, if you want to design the case lifecycle, you design the case lifecycle and do that. Okay. Um, setting the case statuses and stuff like that. Redo those challenges if you need to. If you really want to like really learn, what's going on there, how to go about doing those steps. Kind of get it in your brain. What they are saying and how to go through the steps, without necessarily looking to see how they did it. Um, the problem with that though is just that, um, uh, if you redo, this particular process over and over and over again, then you're basically setting it in memory, and you're just going to do the exact same thing um, over and over and over again. You want to have a little bit of a difference in it. You want to change things up a little bit, and that's why I say, if Pega can, do that for you, you know, because the challenges are slightly different in their structure. They had, like um, they didn't always have the same kind of structure as the previous challenge. So I fear if if they can give that kind of work to us, the devs that are trying to do this for ourselves, try to learn, then I feel that that would be something that would really um, benefit, those of us that are like, trying to really learn what Pega is, get get more hands-on experience. So, but that's me, you know. Okay, so like I said, we're done with the low-code app builder. We're going to be moving on to the extended. And as you can see, we're already 45% complete. We only have like 50% left on this particular mission to go through. Okay, so our low-code app builder is done here, which is interesting. You would think that, they would just have the low-code app builder extended and not even bother with the having the low-code app builder, in the very start there. Just leave that there and kind of do that, whatever. Um, but we have, you know, uh, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 new modules and about the same amount of challenges. Okay, so that 45% was just basically the low code app builder, and that's it because you know there's these modules and these challenges um, are obviously different than um, than what we had for the low code app builder. Um, Now we're obviously getting more in depth here. Um, Managing application development, providing an agile workbench backlog, um, optional actions, automating workflow decisions. I mean, these are getting a little bit more advanced in there, so be prepared on that. Creating a child case, um, skipping a process or a stage. I mean, you can do that with change stage, um, but obviously you want to do that, you know, you'd have to really consider, what you need to do, or, like, is there ever a stage where you absolutely need to just ignore it altogether? So you have to be really careful when you do that. Okay, so that's going to be it for today's Pega study session. We are going to go ahead and move on um, to the. Uh, I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to um, uploading videos because I'm a little behind, obviously, with the workload that I did yesterday. Wasn't able to upload um, or schedule the Pega videos, so I'm a little behind on that. But I mean, you're gonna have to, uh, you'll have to, pardon me for that. um, but for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, then I would love it if you could, uh, do this, the normal YouTube stuff. Leave a like if you liked what you saw. Leave a comment, subscribe, bell notification, all that jazz. Because we're still got, a long way to go for the system architect certification. Um, so would love to see you join me in that journey to get there. Um, but yeah, that's where we're going to go ahead and end it. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording right now.